And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, live in the spoiler room. Thank you for venturing down the stairs, pulling up a chair, and popping your favorite drink with us as we talk movie spoilers. I'm disappointed. This is my last can of Drink Wisconsinably damn good brandy old fashioned. I got to find where I can get these in town because this is good stuff right here. Mm. And we may need it for tonight's movie. We are closing out Skin Flicks month with a film from 1964 that didn't actually come out till 1970, and it is I Eat Your Skin. At least that's what it was finally released as. And tonight, we may be joined by Kara. Hopefully, eventually, she said she wanted to try to join, but I am here with the man who keeps coming back for more. My right hand man, none other than Mr. Ian Simmons. How you doing, Ian?
I'm great. Even though I had to miss last week, I think
Yes.
this is only the second show in however many years I've been doing this that I've missed, but it was for my wedding anniversary, right? But I felt that little hole in my heart of
Oh,
not being able to be here. I really love this.
well, we're glad to have you back, and hope it was a. It sounds like it was a nice anniversary, so that's good. And now you're back to talk about, of all things, I Eat Your Skin.
I wonder why Kara isn't here right now. Because she agreed to do the show and then she watched the movie.
She watched the movie and was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll just take a pass. But, since she's not here and you are, give us a synopsis, my good man. It's been a while. You haven't been here for a couple weeks. Give us a synopsis of I Eat Your Skin.
Well, it's a very culturally sensitive movie about the cult practice of voodoo, and our hero, who I like to refer to as Chip Whiteman, goes to this island where he must rescue his beloved Fanny Damsel from from murderous voodoo zombie priests and monsters. Yeah, and he's a writer, and this is like if someone were to make a parody movie of what the people from Mad Men went to go see on Saturday night, it would be I Eat Your Skin. Like it's weird because you mentioned this was released in 70-71. I kept seeing that online, but I'm like, this was not an early 70s movie. This is straight up like remnants of the 50s or the early 60s, and I'm glad to know I'm not completely crazy because
No, you're not. It sat on the shelf, apparently, according to trivia, for like 6 years until they finally got a distributor who needed a horror film to pair up with I Drink Your Blood. So
this movie is nuts, though, Mark. Like I was
I
not
know.
ready for this. You didn't prepare me for it. I went in completely cold, and I'm like, what am I watching?
I had to have you go in completely cold. Otherwise, you might not watch it. No.
I don't even know where to begin. I botched the synopsis by being all cute and stuff, but we might as well just rip into this thing because I don't know where to start. Where do you want? What's your entry point for talking about this movie?
It's hard to say. And I may be wrong. I think it might be under also I Drink Your Blood. It's hard to say. I'm not sure. I think I Drink Your Blood is a different film, but
I think I saw it as like a double feature. I think with this or something.
Yeah. Nope. I Drink Your Blood is a different film, but it is a double feature, and that's why it got off the shelf finally, is because they needed a pairing. And what perfect pairing? It's like, what, fish and red wine. I Drink Your Blood, I Eat Your Skin. Talk about a double feature right there.
It sounds like a Jesus freak zombie movie, like double feature. Yeah.
It's like it's this twisted angle on a Christian film, only voodoos who are practicing somewhat. Yeah. So yeah, we've got this author, Mr. Whiteman, as you put it, because if ever there was a stereotypical mid-60s ladies man, man of men, Mr. Tom Harris is here. He's an author played by William Joyce. And he's an author, and the ladies love him because he can spin a yarn. He talks about, he does romance novels, I guess, or like adventure romance novels.
Yeah.
So he's a manly man, and when we're introduced to him, he's got this just group of women fawning over him, and then he's got to run because his manager shows up and says, "Hey, you haven't written anything in 3 months." Oh my God, an author who hasn't written anything in 3 months. I'm like, who wrote this? I'm like, it takes author. Never mind.
It was the 60s. It was different.
It was 60s. It was different. It was different in the fact that the guy was macking on some guy's wife, who the guy shows up, and then he's like, to his manager, he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go with you to the Voodoo Island," because his manager's like, "I got a great story for you. It's a Voodoo Island story." He's like, and then the girl's the woman's husband shows up, and he's like, "Okay, let's go." And there's this weird thing. It's such a product of its time.
That's gonna be the theme of tonight's show.
That is the theme of its tonight's show. Just so that we don't get canceled, folks. This is a product of its time because, yes, Mr. Whiteman Harris, who everybody loves, even his best friend / manager, whose wife is like, "Oh, I love her," and they're hitting on each other in front of him.
I feel like they slept together. Possibly with the agent like watching from the slats in the closet. Because wow.
Yeah, because she's all like fawning over him, and they're doing double entendres and innuendos, and yeah, and then they get to the zombie island, and he's like, he's an author. I love this scene. Ian, you know what I'm talking about. They're in a plane. They're looking for this remote island that they've been hired to write about that they don't have the location for exactly. They were given a location, but it's not there. And then they run out of gas, and the pilot's like, "Oh no, we're going to crash." And what does Mr. Whiteman do, aka Harris?
I've honestly blanked it out. Tell me.
He goes, "I'll take the wheel and put us on the beach." And sure enough, Mr. Harris, our author, also is a renowned pilot, apparently, because he lands this plane on the beach. Lands. I'm putting it as in the camera swoops along the beach, and then we cut to the plane static with the propeller going out. Oh, he landed on the beach.
Well, he's multi-talented. He's like Indiana Boner. He can just do it all. Look, you skipped over some of the choicest stuff because, yeah, the husband of one of the people that he's hitting on, shows up, and he gets tossed into the pool, and the wife gets tossed into the pool, and then Harris and the agent get into the car, and then through the back window of the car as they're driving away, you can see the wife running after the car because she's like, "Oh, don't leave me, Tom," or whatever. And then you see the husband catch up with the wife, and he starts kicking her repeatedly and slapping
her on the back.
And then in the extreme foreground, you've got Tom and the agent like looking through the back window, just laughing their asses off.
I know. I'm watching this going, whoa. Whoa, never mind the fact that the husband just before this had his arm in their car, and Harris was trying to roll the window up, and so they're driving with this guy hanging on the outside of the car, and he falls off, and then he starts kicking and slapping his wife in the background, and I'm just like, and our two guys are just like, and I'm just like, and before that, even on his way to the car, he passes another woman who he says, "Oh, she's my secretary," and he's like, maybe this guy's a walking hormone because as he walks by,
Mhm.
he's like, "Oh wait, we aren't going to leave right away, even though I'm being chased by the husband of this girl I was just kissing. I want to take this other girl who just came in the door that I know, who's my secretary, and take her and give her dictation." He literally says that, and he puts his arm around her and starts to, and I'm like, "What is this?"
That's I wonder if this sat on the shelf because it was too ahead of its time with being like raunchy and on the nose. Because my jaw dropped at that dictation line because it's not even subtle. It's like I got to give her
No.
some dictation. I'm like,
Dictation.
wow.
He puts an emphasis on the syllable he intends to, and I'm just like, well, subtlety's out the window in this.
But
You
the
know?
thing is, I don't know this act for some reason. IMDb is not letting me see any of the credits. Maybe all the actors paid to have them removed.
No,
But
William Joyce is the
William Joyce, okay.
Tom Harris
I
character, yeah.
I love this guy. I don't know. Even though he's like repulsive and like this movie is very weird, I imagine a universe where he was a big movie star, just like being in all these inappropriate movies of their time. Because there's
Well
something charismatic about he's like the perfect generic, 50s/60s action, chauvinist, and I'm there for it.
well, he was in nothing but TV series before this. This is his first, if I'm looking at his credits correctly. Oh, no, he was in a couple of movies early in his career. Don't Go Near the Water and The Silent Service. Well, that was a TV show. So yeah, no, only one like movie that he was not even credited as, two of them. So other than that, he's did TV before this. This is like his first major like actual movie role. Uh, and I don't know if you've ever seen the raunchy classic that is Orgy of the Dead by none other than the one
Ed
and
Wood?
only Ed Wood Jr. Yeah, I have it on
No,
VHS.
I've never seen
Okay.
it, but I know it was an Ed Wood movie. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a complete like it this was Ed Wood in his kind of stag moment. I mean, they have Chris Well there who wasn't probably even on stage with the ladies who the orgy is just a series of women who would come out, dance to some really generic music and eventually get naked and then they were killed. That was the whole point of the film.
Did
And huh,
did we talk about this?
we may have talked about
It's
this.
ringing
Yes, we
bells
did.
are going off in my head.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I
There
guess
was
I
a
did see it.
werewolf, there was a mummy. Yeah, anyway, if you've seen that, that was in 1965, so that was a year after this was actually made. Not released, but made. And the voodoo dance that they have in this opening, she dances exactly like the women who dance in Orgy of the Dead. I'm like, "That seems familiar." I'm like, "It must be just the same choreographer or something." I don't know. But the guy, Ed Har the our author, Harris, reminds me of the lead guy as well in the '65 film Orgy of the Dead, to the way he talks, and I'm wondering if he was kind of parodying, this type of character. I mean, this isn't the only type, this is the only time not the only time we've gotten a Tom Harris type of character, the Mr. He does it all type of suave guy, to where the ladies just like, ah, you know, whenever he shows up.
Well, it's kind of like it reminds me of like if Mad Magazine, especially back when it was like the early days when it was still comic
Mhm.
books, it reminds me of this is the kind of thing that they would parody only if it were set to film instead of in the pages of comics.
Yeah.
Because if you look at IMDb, I found if you want to like see the cast list, you actually have to go to the double feature page for I Eat Your Skin and I
Skin,
Drink Your
yeah.
Blood. It's weird. So I see all that, but it's listed as like a comedy and a horror film.
Yeah.
So it sort of crosses genres. I would think comedy of like, oh, people watching this, 70 years from now are going to think it's funny, but I guess it is rather tongue in cheek in parts.
It is.
Oh,
I mean, the Tom Harris character, I think, is supposed to be a bit tongue in cheek, I think. It just comes off so creepy. Uh,
well, it's also like the agent's wife. I can't remember her name.
Was it? It was.
Oh, is it Coral, right?
Coral, yeah.
Coral, yeah, Coral Fairchild. She's got like this over the top. I actually wrote this down and I spelled it out phonetically how she pronounced it. Oh, Mr. Bentley, what a lovely house you have. It's so tropical. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, never mind the fact that her husband, because she didn't want to go on this trip because she plays cards and apparently she's really good at full Monty, whatever it is, or 5 card Monty, excuse me, not full Monty. But which,
That's
by the way,
different. Yeah.
who would have known Disney Plus would do a series called Full Monty? Anyway, um, another whole story, but 5 card Monty or whatever, and she didn't want to go with them to this remote island. And so what does he do? This is 1964, folks. This is not my opinion whatsoever. And I just like to put that out there now. He goes and he tells her, I will cut off your line of credit to all the stores and spas, not only in the US, but in Europe as well. And he rattles them off. And then she's like, well, you don't need to get dirty about it.
Well, here's the thing. You don't need to preface that with anything because, I mean, honestly, if you look at like it sounds bad, right? I guess maybe, but we've got that shit going on today.
Yeah.
Like
No, I know. Yeah, that's true.
the reality TV shows were built on quote unquote real housewives, like these multimillionaire people who marry basketball players. We never see the basketball players. It's just these wives sitting around eating, drinking mimosas and going to spas. So I'm sure those conversations have happened in modern day too.
I'm sure. I'm sure. It's just it's so blatant and show. It's like wow. And then so this island they're going to. One of the reasons they're going there is because of the story. Because there's a doctor who's using the very poisonous snakes, which are everywhere on the island. Poisonous snakes like everywhere. Like this is like only the entire island, right?
Yeah.
And all these, and he's doing experiments because the guy wants to find a cure for cancer using the venom using the venom from the snakes on the island. He comes up with a supposed way to cure cancer. Uh,
but the treatment turns people into zombies. Now, here's the thing.
yes.
Would you rather survive? Would you rather die of cancer or live and have these giant paper mache boob eyes?
Boob eyes. You're so right. I was thinking more oatmeal. It was like somebody dumped a bunch of oatmeal on their face.
Well, it's like the rest of the skin is like gray oatmeal. I mean, it's black and white, but then like in the middle, these giant imperfect boobs, like ugh.
these eyes. Because it doesn't take long when they're on the island for them to run across the first zombie. Because Mr. Harris, once he avoids all the snakes by taking the very cleanly trimmed path, which don't pay attention to the fact that where they're shooting this is on some kind of land where there's actual trails in that, because it's rather groomed, even where the grass where the snakes are swimming there, it's groomed grass. I'm like, that's not like jungle grass. That's like a golf course or something. Anyway, so he comes across the river and lo and behold, he comes across one of these women, because one of the motivations to get him to this island was apparently that the women outnumber the men 5-1. So Captain White Hornball is like, yes, let's go, Mr. Harris. And so then he comes across one of the ladies, which, by the way, it is, you're not outnumbered 5-1 because we don't see that many ladies on the island compared to men. I don't know, if it was a lie or what, but anyway, so he comes across this one.
It's certainly not 5-1. Yeah. Although it's weird. I think because I think the agent says that it's 5-1, but it's almost implied that it's the tribes people because something happened to the men. So it's like mostly tribes women, which is even more kind of disturbing when you think about like, oh, I'm going to go there and get some exotic, tail. Wow.
But walking boner don't care. So, no. So he comes, he shows up and he sees a young woman and she's naked. She's in the river, and he absolutely comes up right away and says, "Oh, I'm here." Yeah, no, he doesn't. He sits there and stands there creepy, staring, watching her. And then he sees the zombie come up behind and he goes, look out. And then he dives in the water after her, but she doesn't see the zombie. She sees him. So she starts swimming away. I'm not lying. We're going to break this down because this film is mind-boggling, because then Harris gets out of the water. He's got a gun, by the way, because of course. And he gets out of the water and he sees this zombie. Now you'd think you'd be shocked, and he was initially at first, but then he's walking and all of a sudden he just kind of la 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 la. You know, he's suddenly there's no sense of urgency, and he comes across this guy with a boat, and he goes, oh hey, I'm looking for such and such, like calm as can be. Never mind, I just saw this zombie and the girl disappeared. And he's like, and this gentleman's like, everybody speaks with a Hispanic accent. And he's like, oh, I know where to take you. So they get in a boat and they swim across the boat, and all of a sudden they're being chased by zombies. So they hide, right, from the zombies. And then the zombie comes and attacks them with a machete, because these zombies can use machetes. And then in the most random scene I think I've seen in a cinema in quite a while, Ian, you know what I'm talking about. He's
The
fighting.
beheading?
Yes, he's fighting
Mhm.
Harris, and then the zombie literally stops, looks at the other guy, and just
It's great though. I mean,
oh, it's brilliant.
I
loved
I
it.
wasn't
I loved
expecting it.
but
Yeah.
no, don't get me wrong. As befuddled I was thoroughly enjoying the just insanity this film is. I'm just like, the zombie literally, he takes a beat. It's not like it's cut really fast. He literally stops, looks at the other guy, goes, oh, it's like, oh, I'll get you instead since this guy's stopping me. And oh
Is it later that he runs across this girl? I think, yeah, because it's Jeannie, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
she's playing the piano. I think this is later.
Yeah,
In the
because
bar.
he finds the guards in that for the actual person they're there to meet. They finally actually meet, and they chase off the zombies, which they know about, and they're just like, oh yeah, there's zombies here. No, come back to the. And Mr. Harris like, wow, okay, fine, yeah. Never mind the fact I've just seen Walking Dead. No, we just go back to
Well, that's a key detail though. They refer to them as the Walking Dead,
Dead,
not the Living Dead. But yeah,
No.
so Mr. Kirkman may have been a big fan of this movie. But no, later he runs into Jeannie at the bar playing piano, and again, this is just this guy, right? He walks in. It's like he wanted to do the opposite of what he did watching her in the lagoon, because instead of standing there like watching her and like letting her finish her piano piece, he like just walks up like, hey, and it's like, darn, like,
it startles her after he lets her play for a little bit. He does let her play for a little bit. Then he's just like, hey, and she's like, ah! She's like, what the fuck?
Then he says, God, what part of heaven did you fall down from? And then he's talking to her about being he introduces himself as a writer, and he says, you stand naked before the world.
Yeah.
This guy failed the audition to become James T. Kirk, I swear, but just
He
barely.
did. He just barely. This guy's like the earthbound equivalent of James T. Kirk. He really is. That's about how suave he is. And it's funny because she's just like, well, you being a writer, I would have think you come up with a better line than that. So she kind of shuts him down. And then he's like, oh, can I make it up to you? She's like, well, if you make me something wet. And I'm like, oh dear God. And the way they light her and everything, she's just like,
oh, she's totally into him, and they're really into each other, so much so that just a few short scenes later, they're going to be back out in that jungle making out as a horde of zombies comes rustling through the woods or the leaves and comes right up on them. Like they don't hear
they don't hear nothing. No, they went for a walk, a leisurely walk, and you find out she's the daughter of the doctor who's doing these experiments. And there's a voodoo priest and the voodoo natives doing a sacrifice. But oh no, they don't do sacrifices anymore. They do literally. I'm watching this still going, wait, did they rip this off for Temple of Doom? Because there's literally a point. There's literally a point in this to where they go, any voodoo practiced on this island is harmless. I assure you, just like in Temple of Doom, where he says the thuggy cult is not, it's not happening anymore. I assure you. I'm like, dear God, even the way they deliver it, I'm like, this is got an eerie parallel.
Do you think did everyone ever make a T-shirt like with a picture of Mola Ram and it just says in like that kind of gangsta script, thuggy life?
Thuggy life.
Someone should do that.
It's probably out there. Yeah.
But no, to your point, Mark. I mean, it's not impossible that someone could, Spielberg or Lucas could have seen this movie or movies like it and said, "Yeah, this is the kind of adventure movie we want to make our Indiana Jones. Like, plop him into this, but make it." I wouldn't say less offensive because people have their problems with Temple of Doom for sure. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget again another harken back to Orgy of the Dead. So many parallels were coming through. Like the mid '60s were weird for B films. They're this walking out just before they're making out, and they run into the horde of zombies. As they're walking out, they're like, wow, look at that moon. And you look at this and you go, it's broad fucking daylight. I mean, there's shadows from the trees. And they're like, oh, look at the moon tonight. And I'm like,
there is so much day for night in this movie. It's not even funny. It's mid-afternoon of the Living Dead.
It is because I'm like, the minute they said that, I'm like, oh my God. Like, there's no way that's even, all they did was darken the darks a bit, but you can literally see behind them. It's daylight. It is not a bright moonlight either. This is just daylight when these zombies show up. And these zombies chase them and they go into the room. And then one of the servants at the house, she just calls them off. And they just go walking off and yada. I love how all this shit like happens and suddenly they blow it off a little, like until the end. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that partially could be that. I mean, not Tom and all them, but the people on the island, as we find out at the very end, like who's masterminding this thing, they do have it like all down to a mad science. If you will. They've got control of these creatures when they need to. It's weird because I guess the zombieism leaves them like susceptible to suggestion or being led or something like that because they're essentially, created assassins. But yeah, at one point they go into Tom and Jeannie. They find this hut, which is one of the best scenes in the entire film. It's like this grass hut. They go in. Tom just like kind of opens the door and it's dark. And then he said, here, light this torch. And she does. And they go and they see like there's a room full of these zombie creatures just standing there. And as the camera pans around, it's just like Jeannie trying to do this sustained scream. She's like, can I stop screaming? And then they just back out of the room and the zombies don't move. It's like they did nothing.
Well, that's what I love is that they just close the door then. Nobody sets fire to the hut with the zombies in it or anything. You're just like, oh, this is where they keep the zombies. Okay. And they close the door. And I'm just like,
It's like that scene from Wayne's World or Wayne's World 2 where they open up the door and he's like, I've always just wanted to open up a door and see spy training going on.
It was kind of like that. Yeah, it's bizarre, and then we've got, Mr. Bentley, Charles Bentley, who's the guy that they came to visit, who runs this plantation on this island with the indigenous folks and the natives to the island, who are servants, and he's got his own nefarious plot. Dun dun dun. Go figure. Oh no. Who would have thought the rich white guy had his own plot involving the natives?
Well, this is a spoiler room.
It is a spoiler room.
Remind everybody,
yes,
but
folks,
Mark, were you as surprised as I was that the heavily disguised main bad guy who was over even the voodoo priest in the hierarchy turned out to be our very own Mr. Bentley.
Yeah, sure. It was a surprise.
I nearly fell out of my chair. No,
It was kind of like, okay. Well, that confirms that. I kind of suspected anyway, because you had the doctor who was saying that Bentley was changing his research because he was being actually held hostage. The doctor wasn't voluntarily making these zombies. He was making them for Bentley, who wanted to make a army of the undead to take over the world. I kid you not. This at one point is what they say. He wants to make an undead army to take over. I'm like, wow, that just escalated in your plans from island to world. What?
I kind of want to see the reality in which that plays out, like all these like boob monsters, like billions of them wandering the planet. But no, here's the thing. It's such an odd look that Bentley's disguise is, and I've got a theory as to why he looks so strange, because he's got like these, I don't know,
Painting. His face
beaded
might be-
blinds like hanging down from his face. He's got
Yeah.
thick glasses, like he looks kind of
Mhm.
like Cousin It, but if he'd been in like Greg Brady's, bedroom, and then he's
Mhm.
wearing a hat. I think it's because they didn't want to resort to having him be in blackface.
I give them props. I give them props for not putting him in blackface. I mean, he's got voodoo face paint on, but they did not put him in blackface. So, that for 64, I'm gonna say actually wasn't. And not only that, but we do actually have a diverse cast here. So we don't have like, you know, a full Caucasian group acting like the natives or whatnot, the native people to the island or whatnot. We actually have a diverse cast here for
Yeah.
the casting, which I again also was a surprise because for mid 60s, I know we're not talking 50s, but still for a film like this, I am impressed that they actually had more than just, whitewash everything.
Well, it also, I know we're diverging a bit from the plot, but it's
No,
something
it's
that struck me from the opening scene, that voodoo dance ritual
yeah.
that you mentioned, which I think ends really well because it's very sensual. You've got this white lady who's dancing and everything, and then she is kind of like coaxed into getting on all fours, and then
Mhm.
they bring out like this young baby goat, and she's like head to head with this thing, and then the big black voodoo priest raises the machete and then slashes it down, and then that cuts to the credits and everything, so we assume that the lady was beheaded and sacrificed or whatever. But
Well, there
it's
was a scream, so I'm like, "Well, wait, did he cut off the head of the goat in front of her? Why?" I'm like, 'cause she screams. So I'm like, if she had her head cut off, she wouldn't scream.
unless you know how you can like see things for 5 seconds after you get beheaded,
Oh,
maybe he
yeah.
cut off like right below the
Below the
vocal
larynx or whatever,
maybe,
I
yeah,
don't
I don't know.
know.
I didn't put that. Thanks, Mark, you just ruined the moment for me.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm
No,
gonna
I
go back
think
and think about it now.
no, I think it's totally meant to be that they cut her head off. Um,
But my point is like that whole sequence, I was of two minds of it
mhm.
because I'm thinking watching this movie today, much like everything involving our Tom Harris, but is capital P problematic as the kids say.
Yes.
But I'm watching it thinking, and maybe you've got some thoughts on this, is this a racist portrayal of a voodoo ritual? I don't
No,
I'm wrestling with it because I don't think so. It's not like cartoon. It seems like too earnestly put together. It's almost like, I don't know if this is true, but it feels like people on the production like did research into like, or maybe even got a consultant or something. But it looked like they were trying to recreate this kind of cultural ritual that ends in a human sacrifice, rather than just having a bunch of people like almost like a Native American thing. We're just going, something
yeah.
and dancing around in circles.
It's well, what's interesting about the whole ritual is they play it very straight.
Right.
It's not played camp, it's not played, "Oh, look at this." We don't and in fact, the voodoo crowd around the fire is a diverse group of
Yeah.
individuals. It's not just all of the, you know, the folks from the island themselves, that the natives of the island, for lack of a better term, you know, the people who come from this island, it's not just them. So I'm like, yeah, the way it plays out, because I was concerned at first the way you see the voodoo priest and all, but the way it plays out, it yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like it's played straight, like they were trying to portray this just as a voodoo ritual and not like do major stereotyping, in all honesty. And then you know, and in fact, you get some of that throughout this film as far as the portrayal of the folks who come from this island. On the whole, are probably the least problematic characters.
Well, I mean, they don't. In fairness to the opposite point of view, they don't really flesh out a lot of these
No, they don't do
the
that
black
either.
characters.
Yeah,
They
no.
are essentially the natives,
Yes. Yeah.
who are, you know, on this plantation or, you know, in the jungle, becoming zombies. Yeah. So yeah, I can see. I can. I'm not going to fight either side of this.
No, no. I mean, you can see both sides, but I will.
Yeah.
But I know what you're going for too. As far as a film like this, they handle it far better than some other films dealing with the similar subject matter. You know, that's in fact the voodoo part of it is really kind of a subplot. It's not really a major deal, more so than the zombies being created by our guy Bentley, more so than the voodoo ritual, which it does play into it in the third act here, where they kidnap Jenny. Um, what I love is at one point Harris gets into discussion with Bentley, who's got this book on voodoo rituals, and we get our exposition of the group, the tribe that lives on the island, and that they came from a tribe to where there was a doctor trying to help them because their tribe had been sick, and he was trying to administer medicine, but the tribe didn't like that. They wanted to do the voodoo ritual, so they ended up killing that guy's daughter, who was a blonde virgin, and everybody felt better in the tribe. This was the tribe's ancestors, and they all attributed it to the voodoo, not the fact that the doctor had actually administered the cure or whatever. Anyway, these are just descendants that live on the island. So they grab Jenny for whatever reason, because they seem to, you know, you've got the zombie thing going on. So they're like, oh, our people are sick. We need to sacrifice a blonde virgin. And they grab Janine, who she gets rescued by Mr. Man of Men. And what I love is they specifically say it at least two times that yes, that's why they sacrifice a blonde virgin, and that's why they're after Janine or Jenny. Yeah, Janine. Uh, and it's like, oh, okay. The very next scene, she's in her bedroom, and Man of Men, Harris, comes into her bedroom, and they take care of the whole virginity problem.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's nothing about Jeannie that says virgin. Like,
No.
I'm like, I feel like there's gonna be like a Monster Squad moment. Like, that doesn't count. Doesn't count. Oh, but you know, it's weird because this same week I watched The Wicker Man for the first time. The
Really?
original.
The original?
Yeah.
The first time? Wow.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage's version is more entertaining, but anyway.
You know, it kind of is. Like,
in a campy, ridiculous way, but Cage's version is yeah.
I got, well, here's the thing. I love the end of the original Wicker Man. Like, it
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
saves the movie for me, but the rest of it, I just wasn't prepared for the whole music and all that business.
Yeah.
But no, it's weird because I felt like watching I Eat Your Skin, I'm watching another version of the Wicker Man. Maybe it's the other way around, because like, yeah, it's this remote island with this culture that wants to be left alone. They got their own rituals, and they have to they end up trying to sacrifice people in order to have like you know, so the gods will, you know, favor them and give them a bountiful, you know, harvest or whatever. I'm like, this is weird. What, oh, let's see. Oh, but eventually Jeannie and Tom, they infiltrate the secret laboratory, where
Yes.
dad is doing his experiments. And what was amazing to me is we see the two doctors like doing this whole ritual with like what looks like real snakes, like shoving these funnels down their
Yeah.
throats to get the venom and all that business.
Yeah.
They're watching this from behind like almost a wall-sized plate glass window, and nobody sees them standing there.
Well, for a while, and then Dad looks up and he's like, "Oh, you're there," and I'm like, they've been there the whole time. What the hell?"
Oh,
And
so bad.
we get to see a zombie transformation in action through a wonderful set of dissolves. So where we get to see more and more oatmeal get put on the face and, and the eyes.
And then they do that like 2 or 3 like after the first one, it's like the director's like, "Oh, that works so well. Let's do 2 more." I'm like,
Let's keep
"No."
doing more dissolve. Well, that's what I was fun. I was waiting for it to end. I'm like, oh, look, okay, it looks like the zombie. Oh no, we're doing another one now. Okay. Oh wait, we're doing one more now. Okay, well, yeah, yeah.
And some of the stages of the dissolve almost look like they were done out of order because I'm like, "Wait, he looks less zombified now than he did 2 stages, but what?"
It seemed to go backwards. Yeah. I Oh man. Yeah. And then it's filmed, like I said, they're doing the whole sacrifice thing and they rescue uh, uh I'm mispronouncing her name constantly here right now. Uh
It's you're talking about the girlfriend, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
in the
Janine
movie in the movie, it's Janine, but in the
Janine.
IMDb credits, it's Jeannie, which is
Jeannie,
totally
yeah.
throwing me off too. Yeah.
So my brain says Jenny. No, Jeannie. Any case, the love interest. We'll put it that way. She
No, I'm sorry. You just put me in the mind of an alternate movie, Forrest Gump and the Voodoo Zombies.
And when I saw the zombies, I grabbed Jenny and I was running. and, and then
Dr.
lightning.
Bentley, you've got no legs.
Ooh, we just wrote a whole different film. Copyright the spoiler room. There you
Tied
go.
up blonde, barbecue blonde, beheaded blonde.
Beheaded blonde. Drawn and quartered blonde. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's write this.
Let's
Sorry, go
rate
ahead.
this. No, I don't even know where my head is now. No, yeah, and then they're ransacking of the voodoo ceremony so they could get her back, and that's where Bentley's reveal, and it's like Harris is like, "Oh look, it's Bentley," and the rest of the audience is going, "Yeah, we do that." What's hilarious is how he hasn't written anything for 3 months, but after one night with Jenny, Jeannie, suddenly he's writing like a ton of pages, like out in the middle, to where again he kisses on the lips like rather long the wife of his best friend and manager. The 60s were weird, man. Anyway,
That island is full of chickens and full of cucks. But no, we jumped right past the bit where they try and do this escape off the island, or maybe that comes later.
yeah, no, that comes later. Yeah.
Well, this is I was watching this thinking this is straight out of Romero's Night of the Living Dead, which was made 4 years after this, released a couple years before it. But there's the pilot who's in the plane, and then you see this zombie lumbering out from the jungle carrying a big Warner Brothers cartoon box marked explosive. And he just walks into the propeller and the plane blows up. It reminded me of the bit where they went out, in Night of the Living Dead to get the gas and the car blew up and everything. But so funny.
Yeah, no, this is near the end when they're trying to escape after they get Jeannie. They tried to escape by plane and then they found a boat because Bentley has a boat. Anyway, yeah. Well, what's even more hilarious with the whole zombie walking with the explosive is Mr. Boner Harris I would have called them all different because this guy was just a walking hormone. Anyway, he is shooting at the zombie. He's got like 3 shots left in his 8-shot revolver, and he shoots and he misses and he empties the gun. And I'm like, how do you miss the big box of explosive? Like, shoot the box of explosives. The zombie's far enough away to where if you shoot the box of explosives, it won't hurt the plane. But Harris is like, bang, bang, click, click, click. He's like, oh darn. And he leaves the pilot in the plane and he runs. I'm like, way to go, hero. Way to go.
I'm surprised he could shoot anything. Did you notice the way he carried that gun throughout the movie? It's like he's holding a giant piece of pizza. Like he's not even really gripping the handle, and he doesn't have his finger through the. It's
his
what?
wrist is like bent when he shoots it. He's like, eh. It's like,
yeah.
like, oh yeah.
And like then a manufacturer's error on the action figure, but
the spring died in the hand or something. I don't know. And then it ends with them getting on a boat and they're driving away, and 2 zombies get on the boat, and one of the zombies ends up getting the doctor in the back. It stabs him this is beautiful. The doctor gets stabbed in the back, and they knock off the zombies. And so Harris comes up to him and grabs the knife, and the doctor goes, no, leave it in. And I'm like,
and isn't he laying down like on his back at that point?
He's laying on his side, so he can't lay on his back because he's got this knife in him. So his daughter's on one side, he's on the other, and he's kind of in this awkward position. He's like, no, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, what? And then it kind of ends. And you're just
I'm surprised Tom didn't say, don't worry, sir. Just ask your daughter. I'm a master of pulling out. But we skipped the part where infiltrating the zombie ritual, because
yes, okay.
They do it as you know, per the Daring Rescue. You've got Tom and who is it? Was it
his buddy,
the doctor, or
no? It was his buddy. It was his buddy Duncan.
Oh, the agent, right?
The agent.
They go in. They go in. Well, first of all, they kind of crack open the door to the secret hideout and peek in, and I think the one guy said, "What are they doing?" And the first thing that crossed my mind was that scene from Gremlins where they're looking in the movie theater, and Billy says they're watching Snow White, and they love it. But they decide to infiltrate this ceremony by donning these masks and robes and stuff, and they go in there, and they end up getting out. But another movie this reminded me of was, I think it was also 64, Blazing Saddles, where they dress up in the Klan outfits to infiltrate the bad guy casting call. So yeah, that was good. I want to say the boat attack was, I think, the most effective part of this entire movie, because as the good guys are on the boat and they're trying to get it started and it won't start, so they have to go and fix the thing with the engine, and Tom's like running from the top to the bottom. It was kind of genuinely intense, and then you get a few of the zombies like getting onto the boat and attacking people. I was like, this is really horrifying. And there is a great idea for a scene. I think they botched it at the last second, where the one zombie gets shot in the chest or through the stomach with the flare gun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It looked genuinely like he took the flare, but when he's falling off the boat, it looked like the actor tossed whatever the hot special effect thing was off to the side. I'm like, safety first, but it blew the illusion.
Yeah, it did blow the illusion a little, but no, it looked good. He just had to toss that can because it was probably hot as hell. Yeah.
Let's see. But then, towards the end, we get back to the pool. You know, maybe in the same hotel. Tom is regaling people with stories of his adventures, and then Janine walks out and tosses him into the pool, and then she goes in, I think, and then it's like, oh, it's all great, and the camera pans out, and we see this big hotel, and All is white with the world.
Yes, that's right. Because we go back to the hotel and he's got the ladies around him again. Only this time she comes out and she's just like, silly men, and then she goes and grabs her man and throws him in the water, and then she dives in after him, and then they kiss, and then it's like all
But one of
is
those
well.
ladies was rubbing his shoulders and stuff. Like he was.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they all wanted Mr. Harris, Harry Harris, man of men. Yeah, it's there's a weird charm to this film. I mean, it's problematic from start to finish. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm like, there's something about this film when you watch it, you just keep watching it because you're like, wait, where is this? Oh,
I don't know. Here's the thing: like, it is problematic, as you say, but if you just like look at it from the character's point of view, it's kind of not.
right? Yeah,
because everybody's sleeping with each other. It all seems very like consensual and swingery, except for the bit where the husband is like kicking and slapping his wife in the beginning of the movie. That's a bit wrong and a half.
That was very wrong. Yeah. Well, it was like, they were trying to play a comical kick, but then he goes to slap her in the head. I'm like, dude, whoa. Like, okay. Neither one of those things is great, but wow, that like, yeah.
But yeah, it is strange because I'm a big fan of Hunter S. Thompson, and Tom Harris in this movie reminded me of the Hunter Thompson from like the late 50s when he's like doing sports reporting in Puerto Rico and like spending his days drinking rum on the beach and getting into all sorts of trouble. It's like that guy. Now, yeah, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard actually did a movie adaptation of the Hunter Thompson book, The Rum Diary, which that's pretty much all they do. And it was like 10 or 12 years ago. I kept having flashbacks to that watching I Eat Your Skin. I don't know what's going on with me. What's going on with you? What are you reading there?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm listening. I got a message here. So I was just testing something. So my apologies. But yes, Hunter S. Thompson. I'd love to see a Hunter S. Thompson full version of I Eat Your Skin. That would be like, maybe he takes some shrooms and then, he starts eating people's skin, thinking he's eating, chicken or something.
I feel like there's only a 5% difference between that and the movie we got. Like, he doesn't wear the glasses and you can understand what Tom is saying. That's about the only difference.
He's not holding a cigarette in his teeth continuously. Now you want to see Harris replaced with Hunter S. Thompson, but in the exact same film. There you go.
Yes. Let's blow this fucker. And then they just microwave the entire island.
Hold on, I know someone at the military base. Hey, let's blow this fucker. They napalm the entire island. Yeah, so I Eat Your Skin. I can see why it was on the shelf for so long. I imagine some distributor, they got this, they were like, yeah, we'll just put this, we're just gonna put this on the shelf here, and yeah, good on you.
I kind of feel bad for Mr. William Joyce, because if this is like his first break into features or his first like headlining role, then it's like, what do you mean it's not coming out possibly ever?
So some fun other facts. There's not a whole lot of trivia, but apparently it has a number of titles. It went under the title of Zombies, Zombie, and Invasion of the Zombies. But the director, Adele Tenney, who has not done much, I know that's a surprise, he used the title Caribbean Adventure because they didn't want the residents of Key Biscayne to know that he was filming a horror film. In fact, at one time they were going to call this Voodoo Bloodbath, which there's not really a whole bloodbath going on, so I don't know if you can really call it a bloodbath.
No.
But also, there were some health problems while shooting in the Key Biscayne. It was largely jungle, so many of the cast and crew ran into health problems during the production. Go figure.
And by health problems, you mean STDs?
Possibly. Oh, and I love this bit too. Apparently, during the creeper scene where Harris is staring at Jenny, the J, jump into the water, and then he dives in after her. Apparently, in the bay of the water, where right near where they were shooting, the 4 largest sharks in the area were in the bay at the time. But he didn't tell the actors at the time that there were sharks in the water because I guess he wanted to get the shot. Because,
Yeah. He probably figured either way he wins.
Though, again, let us look at it, Ian. I don't think there's ever any cannibalism actually shown in this entire film.
No, I mean it's a zombie movie,
But it's called I Eat Your Skin.
unless don't they have chickens? They do eat dinner, so maybe they're talking about the flesh of whatever animal they eat at dinner.
Here's what's funny about that, and I was wondering if they were implying it, but maybe because of whatever regulations or codes, they couldn't actually do cannibals, like cannibalism. It's kind of implied they're talking about rituals and voodoo, and they do mention, I think, at one point cannibals. And then Mr. Bentley has this dish that is delicious that is made by their cook, and he puts it on the table, and it's just like this round ball of meat. And I'm like, are they implying that could be human? Because they're literally talking about sacrifices and stuff just before they have dinner. And I'm like, are they implying that could be? But they never go anywhere with it. So I Eat Your Skin never really... There's never really any cannibalism going on. So
unless you're talking metaphorically, and it's just
referring
to Tom and Jenny or Jeannie or whatever they've got going on. I eat your skin.
Your skin. Yeah, that happened at one point. They see what they needed to do is after their rumpus in her room, they needed to be more obvious they had, and then no one would have kidnapped her because they wouldn't realize she wasn't virginal, because they emphasized twice that they needed a blonde virgin. And he goes, oh, you mean like Janine? And they're like, yes, like her. And I'm like, okay,
maybe it was just dry humping. We never really see what's going on under those sheets. Sorry.
No, we do the classic cutaway of they embrace, they kiss, they kind of fall out of frame, and then we go to the next day to where he's sitting in his skivvies writing on a typewriter on a bucket in the
Yeah.
Oh, the low budget films of the 60s. So yeah, folks, there you have it. We've broken this film down to its 2 core bits. I'm not sure what you have here, but I wasn't bored with this film.
I was kind of bored. Like,
were you?
There is some, I mean, like the parts that are great, but there is an awful lot of like running around the jungle and like looking at stuff and looking for this person and looking for that person. It's only an hour and 21 minutes, but it felt like they padded. This could have been an hour long.
It could have been, but they had another reel of film, so they just figured to make the most of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it begins strong and it ends strong.
Yeah,
there's just some stuff in the middle, like there's some really great goofy stuff in there, but yeah, no real complaints.
It's campy, legit 60s B horror. If you want to look up a definition of what is a B horror film from the 60s and what started kind of the cult camp trend, films like I Eat Your Skin are right in that category. I mean, it nestled firmly into that category to where there's a reason why it was given the MSTK treatment.
Ooh, I'll have to look
Yeah,
that up.
yeah. Apparently, that Misty did do it, and you can see why. Um, it's and that's the thing is that this isn't like it's poorly like completely poorly made. The narrative actually there it's there. There's a narrative from start to finish. There's characters. It's not that type of bad film, to where it was technically the way it was put together is actually it's a movie.
Oh yeah.
It's a movie from start to finish, which I think surprised me the most is the fact that this is actually as far as the technical aspects of how it's put together and telling the story, it's fine. I mean, it's watchable. It's definitely watchable. Now, the subject matter, the material, what's portrayed in the characters that are written in here, that's another story. But if you want to go for just technical aspects of does it got a beginning, middle, and end? Does the narrative make sense? And absolutely, it rolls. It's just what is in those moments that you're just gonna be like, oh, yeah, night. Sure. I think they shot everything during the day. I don't think there was and the voodoo scene for the ritual was on a set. That was
Well, and I think that's the only thing that looked like it was done at night.
night.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because the opening scene is pretty convincing. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah. But you've got more control over the environment, so you can make it look like it's a dark night, even if it's just on set. Yeah, I agree. I was surprised. I mean, I love all the problematic stuff because it's so outrageous. I mean, it would have been outrageous by 10 years ago standards. We are
I
hyper aware of things today, in some cases rightfully so. But yeah, if you've got a really twisted sense of humor about these things, I Eat Your Skin is going to be right up your alley.
I think this was problematic when it was made, in all honesty.
Possibly.
Possibly.
It did sit on the shelf for
It
6 years or whatever it was. Yeah.
6 years. It sat on shelf for 6 years till the distributor needed a B movie. Heck, the definition, a bottom, for the double feature to go with I Drink Your Blood. Then you go, I Eat Your Skin. And there you go. That like rolls naturally, I could just see him sitting there too going, huh, I drink your blood, but I need to make this a double feature. What should I? And looking at his shelf, and he's like, wait a minute. Dusted off. I eat your skin. There you go. Perfect double feature.
Problem is, I Eat Your Skin has to go first because you got to wash it down with the blood.
Blood, that's true. That's true. So it's kind of out of order, but or you drink the blood first, so then when you eat the skin, it's not as messy. So
Yeah, but then if you drink all your blood, then maybe the skin is a little dry, and so
well, that's
what are you going to wash down with? Yeah.
red wine. So there you go. Does red wine go with human, or would you use a white?
Yeah, more like a Riesling. Anyway, sorry.
We're bringing it back to food again. If you want to know more food
course.
talk, check out our Patreon, folks, the After Hours show, which is actually before the show. Go figure it out yourself. We talked about food. So yes, again, we're back to food. Only this time humans and what wine goes with human. So
You should call it the before the show, after hours show.
we'll see. But I hope you've enjoyed this conversation, folks. And yes, you should check it out because you just need to see. This is one of those films where you just have to watch it to go, no way. And we're like, yeah, watch it. Just not that long. Get some friends together, get some alcohol and some popcorn, and just watch this. It's one of those party movies where you could like put it on the background or whatever, and you just look up, you're like, oh, yeah. Something crazy happened. So what's crazy now is we give our license to shill to our crew members. We shout out to Kara. I'm not sure why she couldn't make it tonight. But she was with us in spirit for sure. So now, Ian, hashtag license to shill. You have the floor.
Why, thank you. I'm Ian Simmons. I run Kicking the Seat, which you can find at kickseat.com. Also on YouTube at Kicking the Seat. So look that up, and we do reviews and interviews and roundtables and all that good stuff. Not actually doing our roundtable this week, but got stuff lined up for the next 2 weeks. So next week we'll be talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. The week after, on Wednesday, we'll be doing Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And then Friday, I think that's the 15th or the 16th. Yeah, the 16th of June, we'll be talking about The Flash before I go on vacation. So, Mark, I hope you can join us for The Flash. Do you know if you'll be able to?
I don't know. It depends on if I could get to see it before then, because I don't get press credentials like world-renowned.
I'm not going to the press. I'm paying to see it opening Thursday. And we're gonna talk about it opening Friday.
I will try to make it to the Thursday. If I can make it to the Thursday showing, which I will try my darndest to.
Order your tickets now.
Movie Pass won't let me do that. So
really,
well, there's a way to do e-tickets, but my local theater doesn't do it, and I don't know if I'm going to travel to a half hour to Wausau to see it. So I have to. I'm weighing the options, because I am going to see it Thursday. Going to try my darndest, because all the spoilers that will be out by Thursday night.
Oh yeah,
I won't have to see the movie then.
Well, no, dude. Yeah, it's summertime, so they're gonna have earlier screenings. You're gonna have to go. Yeah, you're gonna have to camp out on Tuesday night to go see this.
I might have to take the day off and go to the 10:00 show at Marcus or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll take that day off. I normally don't take vacations, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
It's the Flash. It's a special occasion.
It's a special occasion, sure.
Okay. It's like DC Shill Holiday. Come on.
It's DC Shill Holiday. What I love is everybody's talking about the Flash, and there's 2 other DC films coming out, and you'd swear it's like there's like tumbleweeds. It's like, I feel bad. I honestly feel bad for Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle. They're like sitting out there, and you're just like tumbleweeds. And someone goes, "Wait, did someone mention us?" And then they're like, No, that's the Beatles, not Blue Beetle. Ah, damn. Wait, Momoa, they're talking about no, they're talking about you in Fast X, which, yes, I gotta go see again. God, I bless that movie. Anyway, so there you have it, folks. As far as what's happening here in Special Mark Productions, I've got 3 reviews dropping this week, so it's a light week. Kind of. We've got the podcast out tonight. Tomorrow night, I will be guest host on the Shameless Picture Show, where we're going to be talking about Drive, a film I have not watched. I'm not a big Ryan Gosling fan. You know, the biggest thing I took from La La Land is that he has small ears. So we'll see how I feel about Drive, and I'll be on the Shameless Picture Show. Wednesday, I have the producers and directors of an anthology film called The Monster Mash, which I'll be doing, which their film isn't out yet, but we will be talking and doing that. And then Friday, if Ian's not sick of me, we get to be guest stars on the Cinephile Hissy Fit. We're doing at least the recording, to where we're going to be talking about the epic, blockbuster, underrated Superman entry into the chapter called Superman 3. So we've got all that coming up. Make sure you check out my interview I did last week with Justin Superstar, the documentary filmmaker who made this wonderful film called Mom and Dad's Nipple Factory, which is very interesting and entertaining documentary and heartfelt. And it was a fun conversation. So yeah, lots of stuff here. Whatever else I can come up with. So thank you all for listening and for watching, and our live viewer tonight. We had a few people pop in. I appreciate you stopping by. And yeah, until next time, folks, we'll say good night, everyone.
Good night.
Man, look at that moon.